Welcome, everybody. I call this board meeting to order at 5:30 PM. May I get a roll call, please?
Board Member Dina Flores.
Present.
Board Member Dolores Rivera.
Here.
Board Member Aaron Cimental.
Present.
Board Member Patrice Tanzioni.
Present.
Board Member Armando Barajas. Superintendent Dr. Alejandro Alvarez. Maricela Barba. Tamika Lee Nolasco.
Present.
And Student Board Member Brian Anaya. Thank you.
Okay, moving along. Thank you for the roll call. Moving along into open session. Brian, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Will you all rise, please?
Let's go.
Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, BBC.
Thank you, Brian. Take it a step back. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda of the regular board meeting of November 14th? Motion by Board Member Rivera. Can I get a second? Seconded by Board Member Stanzioni. Roll call.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we already did the pledge of allegiance. Thank you. Okay, Brian, can I have the student board report? Student representative board report.
School announcements. Van Wyck. The Van Wyck teachers and scholars just completed trimester 1 benchmarks and are starting to work on our monthly writing genre of informative writing. Our RTI or Wildcat time is going well and we are seeing good results from our teacher collaboration time. We had an exciting and fun fall festival on October 27th, and it was nice to see so many families attending and coming together as a Van Wyck community. We also had a successful Halloween parade with lots of great costumes. We are looking forward to a fantastic month with our Van Wyck Wildcats. Don Juling announcements. Our amazing Lions had a representative from school's first federal credit union come in and speak with students on practical money skills, budgeting, and credit. Our 8th grade students and our kindergarten classes continue to meet for our Math Buddies collaboration. Our elementary school students just completed their trimester 1 benchmark, and we are looking forward to seeing our Lions progress up to this point. Our fall festival was very well attended. We would like to thank our wonderful DJ staff, our amazing PTA, volunteers, and Think Together for putting on a great night. Middle school sports is underway and our Lions are 2-0 in girls volleyball with wins against Edgewood and Parkview Middle School. And our boys football team is 1-1 with their win coming against Parkview Middle School. Go Lions. Edgewood announcements. The Brave Knights are working hard at Edgewood Academy. In 3rd grade, our students are working on multiplication facts by using a website called Multiplication by Heart, where they have digital flashcards with visual representation of the multiplication fact. In 5th grade, students are working on adding decimals, where they will be able to add up the total cost of a meal if they were to go to a restaurant and order multiple items. This week, Edgewood students are challenged to have perfect attendance to earn extra recess or lunchtime. There is also a class attendance challenge and a month-long class challenge. Our goal is to reach 98% attendance for the year and reduce our chronic absenteeism rate by at least 10% from last year. We are currently just over 95% attendance and have reduced our chronic absenteeism by 15% from last year. We know attendance matters. Lastly, ASB is planning some fun activities to come for the days leading up to the holidays. It is an exciting time to be a Brave Knight. Sunkist announcements. Sunkist is proud to highlight and teach about Dia de los Muertos. Thank you to our dual language teachers and instructional assistants for creating such a wonderful exhibit and PowerPoint about the history of Dia de los Muertos. We learned about the wonderful history of why some of us choose to celebrate and honor our loved ones with this beautiful tradition. Our PTA hosted our first movie night of the year and it was a blast of tiger fun. Thank you to our families who were able to attend and support our movie night. We can't wait to see you in the spring. PTA will also be hosting our traditional turkey trot. It's been a few years since we've been able to host this event. Our Tigers will complete running course, and the top girl and boy from each grade level will win a $25 gift card for their holiday dinner. Go Sunkist Tigers. Torch Middle School announcements. Trojans have been progressing and working with great diligence these past weeks. They have been demonstrating growth and perseverance in their academics. Our children's scholars, staff, families, and community came together to have a fantastic fall festival this past week. Trojans displayed their wonderful talents in our festival show with their amazing performances. It was an event to remember. Our PBIS celebration was also a huge success in which we celebrated students who embodied our 3 Bs, which are to be safe, be respectful, and be responsible. This week, our Trojans are excited to have our first book fair of the school year, in which our goal is to encourage literacy and foster a love for reading. We continue to work on our attendance goal. Grade levels have geared up for a friendly attendance challenge. Lastly, our Torch Band will be having their winter concert on December 7th in the Watanabe Center. We continue to look forward to an eventful school year. It is always a great day to be a Trojan. Bassett High School announcements. The Bassett High School varsity cross-country team competed in the CIF prelims at Mount Sac, placed 3 girls in first team all-league, and the boys varsity placed 4 runners in the top 10 position in the same race. The Bassett High School band performed for the first time in 4 years at the Los Altos Field Show. They also competed at the South Hills Field Tournament and received 3rd place in the 4A division. Catch them performing this Saturday at Arcadia High School. Azusa Pacific University hosted an on-site admissions event last week and 25 seniors were accepted. This week, 80 students will be touring Cal State Fullerton. Last week, we reclassified 9 English learners. We are excited to celebrate their accomplishment later in the school year. Our dual enrollment program is expanding. Next semester, we are adding philosophy and geology to our offerings. Nueva Vista announcements. Nueva Vista had a successful parent conference season with over 80% of parents showing up to speak with counselors and support their students' academic progress. Nueva Vista is now fully staffed with the addition of Ms. Summer Ebbs, who comes to the Bassett Unified School District with experience in teaching high school level science and math courses. Nueva Vista staff has been hard at work at focusing on instructional practices and aligning practices to the Nueva Vista vision and mission. It is always a great day to be an explorer. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brian. And now we will move on. Dr. Alvarez, staff recognition.
Mr. Board President, members of the board, those of you here. I just want to, last board meeting, we provided some information regarding an employee who went above and beyond their job. And we wanted to bring that person back here for recognition. I'm going to ask that the site principal come in and talk about the event and talk about the individual. I'll let her introduce the person and what happened. So Megan, if you can please come up.
Good evening, Board President Flores, board members, superintendent, and our community. I would just like to, I'm so honored to be here today to be able to introduce Grace Yvonne Chasse. Come on up. She is a true hero. So let me give a little bit of background. I was in my office having a meeting and I get a knock on the door saying there's a parent who's feeling ill. And at that point, the SOA had already notified Yvonne that we had a parent in need. And by the time I came out of my office, she was already at the point of having to administer CPR. That's how quickly this event took place and how quickly she reacted. Truly is a heroic effort and I believe resulted in saving this parent's life. It is hard to tell a story without getting emotional and feeling all of the big feelings that we felt in that day because it was an emotional experience. We even talked a little bit today about some of our safety procedures and how quickly she responded. And even weeks later, that those big feelings and emotions are still within us. So it is really an honor to be here tonight to present this award to Yvonne. She goes by Yvonne, but she is Grace Chasse. Her beautiful family is here as well. So thank you for your heroic efforts and just being so quick with reaction and really just doing what you are trained to do above and beyond to save lives.
Thank you.
describe how I feel right now. I'm very, very happy. I must say that for me, I felt that I just did my job. And I'll do it again and again and again, the same way I did it before. Every time I think about what happened, I pretty much shut down actually because it's just hard. It really is. Just to see the parent there and her 3 children, and I did what I could do. I didn't want the kids to be left without their mom. I'm honored. Thank you very much for my award. Thank you.
Should do it for you. Should take off her jacket. Take a vote.
Eric, nice to meet you.
Oh, yeah.
He's trying to get here, but I know with board members wanted to make a couple comments and then we'd like to take it.
Well, I just wanted to say thank you. I've worked with you. I've had the pleasure of working with you for quite a long time at the adult school, and you have always gone on and beyond on your regular job and on helping other people. So thank you. You're a great asset to our district.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Really. Like I said, I get my stuff I'm really, really happy. I'm really, really happy.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, let me go back here, that way she.
No, right here. It's easier.
You can get in the middle. Come out if you need to. You can.
Both, okay. The family. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. There's gotta be one with your family. Where'd you take your first day?
Thank
If you
you.
didn't take it from my brother, he's gonna swear.
You know, I've taken it so many different times, different places. I never thought I would.
Family.
But it took everything out of me. I couldn't even walk after I was. Oh,
Did you go through a traumatic?
oh, I did.
And your family is beautiful. It's
Thank
not
you.
fair.
Thank you. Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
Any strategic?
Okay. Moving along, facilities update. Drum roll.
Board President, members of the board community, we have a presentation today just to provide the board with an update on the facilities projects going district-wide as well for the community to be informed. If they're not online watching right now, they can always go back and see it. Maricela and Dave worked on putting this presentation together. Unfortunately, Maricela went home sick yesterday, really sick, and she wasn't capable to go. So Dave's gonna do this presentation on his own today. I told him I'd help him out, so.
You got this.
Good
You got
evening.
this.
Thank you, thank you.
So
Congratulations.
Dave and I are gonna do this presentation together. And so you each have a copy of the presentation in front of you. And so we're gonna present just a facilities update for today. So if you go to the next slide. Just an overview. What we're gonna talk about are a couple of things, Measure V, everyone's familiar with, our Measure BV, other funding sources that are paying for facility projects, and some of those facility projects that are going on right now, as well as next steps. If you go on, just a quick reminder. Just a reminder for those who don't know, we did have Measure D that was passed back in 2014. It was a $30 million bond. Some of the areas for it to be used is as listed on there. You'll find there, those $30 million have been issued. In 2015, almost 10 million, and a little over 20 million back in 2017, which was the $30 million. So go to the next slide for Measure B, or V. Sorry, we're supposed to, well, some of the money went towards secondary locker rooms, obviously the Bassett Aquatic Center that we're working on right now, the Bassett High School gym HVAC, and PSA closeout, created the football field, track renovation, and some 1266 compliance. We go to the next slide, Measure BB, which is our most current bond measure, passed on November 3rd, 2020, it's a $50 million authorization. And very much kind of was on the ballot, talking about school facilities, replacing leaky roofs, putting access to modern technologies, upgrading, things like that, repairing classrooms. And as a reminder, we issued Series A, $22 million back in September, and why we call it Series A. So if you can't issue the entire amount, in this case, $50 million, call it Series A, the first amount, Series B, the next amount. If you still haven't issued all, you go to Series C, and so on and so on. So if we go on to the next page, other funding sources for the projects we're taking on, you'll see that we do have some one-time money federal funds. ESSER 3, which is allowable, a big portion of that, almost $7 million is being used for one of our big projects, district-wide HVAC. We do have some deferred maintenance program funds that we'll be using for projects. That's 114, capital facilities fund for another project. We're using specifically developer fees the districts have accumulated over the years and need to be spent. General fund unrestricted base, that's also going towards the HVAC project, and some supplemental concentration funds for the LCAP. So the first one that we've been talking a lot about here is the Bassett High School Aquatic Center.
There you go. Yes, this is when I jump in.
Yeah, so just quickly before it jumps in, this is a multi-bond funded project, Measure V and Measure BB. Just a reminder, we had about just under $10 million in Measure V. We're still paying for a couple of things and stuff, so there wasn't going to be enough funds in Measure V, so we're also using Measure BB fund to cover the remaining cost of the aquatic center, estimated about $9.8 million. The final price we'll know once we get the bid. We've gotten the bid already. We're doing the demolition, which is the phase one right now. And then we'll go to the next update we'll talk about. And we're looking at sometime no later than September 24 to have this project done.
Yeah.
So Dave, I'm gonna kind of
That's where we're at right now on this project. The demolition, as you see, it's actually concurrent going on. We didn't have any experience with delays, so it should close out on their allocated time, which is December 1st. The next part will be the construction phase of it, right? So with regards to the construction phase, the construction management team will be coming, which is Cummings Management, is currently accepting pre-qualification applications for general contractors. That will close Friday, 17th at 1 p.m. After that, once we complete the selection of our general contractors, the project team will finalize the pre-qualification documents, start the process. We're anticipating that contract notice to proceed early next year.
And so just as a reminder, this is kind of the rendering of the final project, what it'll look like when we're complete. Hopefully no later than September. As Dave did mention, we're close to completing the demolition. We do have a live feed, so if anyone has none better to do, or you're just curious on what the project looks like right now, you can go on our website. There's a live feed to the construction site. If you were on yesterday or the day before, you actually saw them demolish the last part of the pool, which was the building. So that part is done now. And we're just kind of starting to get rid of a lot of the debris that's left. A lot of the asphalt, all the asphalt's been taken out, that's gonna be part of the project. So it goes almost all the way to the other side of the locker room. It's just, yeah, it's pretty much all dirt now, almost.
Correct.
So the next project we're gonna talk about is the district-wide, this is the Bassett High School HVAC project. And so this is also being paid from bond money, Measure BB. This is a high school HVAC project. So we have Element Consulting doing the CM work. We've taped is architect. Currently, once again, Measure BB. Currently, DSA is in the process of reviewing it. They have it, they've approved. They asked for some changes again, a couple little changes. Those changes already been made and resubmitted to them. So we're waiting for them to go through it again. We're estimating about $2.3 million for the total cost. You'll hear the term soft and hard costs. What's the difference? Hard costs is we call bricks and mortars, equipment, materials, all kind of stuff. Soft costs are usually like your construction management company, your inspector of record, your architect. That's all what we call soft costs. So combined total cost of about $2.3 million. And you see the estimated rate there.
So right now, currently, DSE is reviewing. This will be probably October 18th to November 2023. Plan checks, corrections went in November 29th. We're hoping to get them back by December 13th. Resubmittal, like Dr. Alvarez said, anticipation January 10th, we're hoping by approval. Okay, bidding for the project hopefully in January, sometime in February, and then project completion, like Dr. A said, somewhere in summer 24th.
So the next one that we're talking about, we're working on right now is our Girls Fitness Center. It's on this agenda, or was it on the left? So the Bassett High School Girls Fitness Center is a project we've been talking about. We just, we're using capital facility fund developer fees. Developer fees are kind of unique in how you can spend it, because you could have paid, someone could have paid developer fees because they were near an elementary school. But you can use those funds for any school that those kids feed into. And what unique here in that, we have one high school, so everyone goes to that one high school, so we can use the developer fees that have been collected for maybe that someone that lives in Edgewood or development that wouldn't happen over by DJ, and use those funds for a high school where everyone's going to go. So in this case, that's how we're using the developer fee for this particular project. And we completed the bidding process. The estimated cost is just about $750,000. That's including the cost of the gym equipment and the actual construction work in the room. So we're looking at start date. We've been talking about this for a while. We're looking at hopefully by the end of January. Come to the next slide, it shows it. So this is just kind of a picture of architect's drawing. You'll see on there. Okay, so you'll see that they have, they'll have a couple of treadmills. They got a couple of 12-ton top bikes, rowing machine maybe, some weights, leg workout activities. They got some dumbbells. They're actually going to have 3 monitors in there as well, so that they can watch on the monitors maybe what ways to work out, trainings if the girls are going to go in there, maybe as a team, to go over some training videos, things like that. There's going to be an office space for where they can see PE teacher or the coach in there, the restroom in there. There's also going to be an audio video system in there as well, so they can play music, type in TVs as well, and they're actually going to have key fob access in there as well. So it's gonna be really neat. It's gonna be awesome. Yeah. And is that, I forgot, is it on this agenda, was it? Or is it on the last one? I think that was on the last one, so we've already approved the bid for this one.
I think it's this one.
It's on this one.
It's on this one.
It's on this
Yeah,
one.
so once the board will approve
This one was
the bid that was
extension,
submitted
yeah.
for the fitness center, the girls fitness center, and then from there, once the board approves it, tomorrow we'll start the process, issuing the notice to proceed and collecting the performance bonds. So we can get going on that. The next project is the district-wide HVAC project. It's a $13 million project, district-wide, and we're using, remember we talked about federal funds, ESSER 3, and we're using general fund unrestricted dollars based for this as well. We've already started at Van Wig. We're hoping to complete by no later than, September 30th. Dave, do you want more information on it?
Yeah, so obviously, Van Weg is first through the wall. We work with Jennifer. I think everything's up and going. Working alongside with the site administrators. I think the next couple will be actually Edgewood, which will be later in the year, if not start. And then we're gonna go to Torch, basically in April of next year. So there's some long procurement items they're still working on, but everything's on schedule and we're looking good for sure.
Yeah, the biggest challenge right now is there's still, not just us, but there's shipping delays, delays in receiving the permit. So just getting like us, like everyone else, but they have started, and we said, as Van Wig, you got a lot of this going on. A little bit with the thermostats, we were able to resolve, push them out.
Yes.
And then the next one that you've seen that we're kind of trying to close out here is the marquees at every school site. And, you know, we've been doing them every school site, we probably estimated about $300,000 or so. Done. We have a few done, so I'll let Dave kind of go.
Yeah, so obviously, you know, Don Julian, Torch, and, excuse me, Don Julian, Sanchez, and Torch were completed. Super proud to see those up and running. Obviously, the school sites have been utilizing them up. But with Edgewood and Van Wig, we needed to go back and get a geotechnical report to test the soil. So with that, we actually went back, got that, so we have to resubmit the DSA. And once we get that back from our approval, we'll be able to move forward on that. But what we have done with that time is we actually use in-house people to run the electrical, get everything set. So when we get the approval, we'll be ready to go on our side.
So a reminder, what's unique about those two schools, Edgewood and Van Wig, is that they're currently mounted on the wall, and the replacement is not going on the wall, it's gonna be on the stilts. So that's why we have to go through DSA, but as Dave said, we already have the plan from the architect, so our in-house staff are able to run the electrical wiring that needs to feed the marquee, so all that's already been done. And we've already approved the purchase of the marquee, and the work that goes with it, so we're just waiting for final DSA comes up as they ask for the,
And I know we have
study.
a few principals that are being super excited to get it going as well. So we're looking forward to complete that project.
And they're, you know, the marquees are a little tricky in the sense of, you know, you wanna use these fancy fonts. So when you use a fancy font and you're doing them on the computer, look great, and then you go kind of like, what did that say? So it takes some practice. I've been telling everyone, less words, bold, all capitals, and use more straight line letters. That goes a long way to be able to reading as you're driving by. So at this point, if you have any questions for Dave or myself regarding these projects, we can answer them the best we can.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Dave.
Well, we got a question.
Oh, question.
Thank you, Madam
Board
President.
Member Pimentel.
For myself, a few questions. So going back to the Bassett High School, oops, you can have the question. The school-wide HVAC update.
Yes, sir.
I know that we have the banners on every school site listing that we're doing district-wide HVAC projects, and Bassett didn't include it. Will Bassett eventually have their own kind of update for the school community to know, the students, when they walk by, they see that there is AC coming to the school actually?
Yeah, you know, one of the challenges with Bassett High School that we had is a lot of the rooms are fed, are chilled by a chiller. And we invested a lot of money during my first 2 years here on repairing and upgrading that chiller that now finally is running great. We just replaced one of the H modules for one of the rooms roof, replacement, and we're doing one more.
Room 210 and 217, which has been pretty troublesome. We've actually already replaced 210, and I know we've been moving class in and out of there, so this year, none of that. And along with like, just even remarking back to the chiller, we worked so hard to get that. We could talk to our chiller now. We can control it. We actually could shut it down. We were so far off with that thing before, but now we're actually running 300s to 400s to 500s, running good.
And in terms of project end date, just to confirm, it would be summer 2024 for the high school HVAC to be complete?
Jim, yes.
Oh, just gym?
Jim.
Or-
Yeah, well, we just,
I'm maybe I'm confused between gym and I guess the actual like classroom, stuff like that.
so the classrooms, we have one more we're gonna replace, and that should be done
Within a month or two tops.
Okay.
Are
And then, sorry, one last question. It was relative to the marquees. And I don't know if it's necessary, but I noticed of all the schools that were included, it's all of them, but Nova Vista, I don't think Nova Vista has a marquee. Is there a need for a new marquee actually? If that's something that,
No, they don't have one.
No.
They don't have one, but they probably could
They could
utilize the
use
one on Amar. Amar, yeah. There is a marquee on Amar. It does belong to the adult school, but they could probably.
Oh, the one over here.
yes, okay, just a question that came to mind. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Shouldn't they have their own? Shouldn't they have their own marquee?
They
Luella?
should, if they get one, I mean, could they use a flat one even?
Right by their wall,
Right in front
where
of
it has the explorers, right there.
Right.
Right there.
them. Maybe not on damaging level, maybe a little higher.
No, I'm saying on stilts, on whatever you put them on, poles, height.
We can look at putting one in there, we can get some proposals, but we'll need to get the architect involved in one doesn't exist and go through DSC as well. Hopefully we can use the same liquefaction.
I had a question. The roofs, have they been worked on at the schools?
Yes, actually, one of the things that Dave and I have a lot of conversations since I got here, and then obviously since him taking on the director role, is we've had Garland is one of the biggest manufacturers of roofs throughout the state of Michigan, so they're pretty much in all school districts. So there's some that are still under warranty from them. So if there's a leak, we just have to call them and they'll come and they'll send their approved contractor to come and repair it. There's others that weren't done by them. There's others that are expired. Overall, we've done a pretty good job of really repairing the ones that were causing a lot of problems. I think we have very, very few leaks. We are currently done a proposal from Garland on the most critical ones that need repairs that they're not necessarily leaking, but they're way beyond their, what you call life expectancy. But we are talking millions and millions of dollars. So one thing that I don't like doing, and I think it's just poor business practice, is doing them all at one time.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you do it all at one time, you do all your schools, it's one big cost, so you have to come up with that cost 20 or 30 years from now. And I know people can say, well, we won't have someone else's problem, but I always like to operate as if it is gonna be my problem, or I wanna make sure someone else doesn't have that problem. So when you do big projects like that, you do wanna phase it over so many years, so you don't have to come up with a big dollar amount in one big year, you spread it out. So, but right now, we've really done a great job actually of eliminating our leaks are very few
I think
rare.
I think it was hurricane, was there a hurricane in California?
Oh, yeah, well, yeah.
Anyway, when we had that, I know Dr. Albert sent us out on the weekend, we were being proactive, but it was concurrently what the work we did before. I think we only had 3 leaks the whole, so, which,
It's great.
yeah, you have talked to me 2 years ago, it would have been like 40. So I think we've done a lot of work to get to where we need to be. Of course, there's more work to be done, but that was a good, selling sign where we were at, because we were out here scrambling on Sunday with sandbags and everything. And then we just knew something was gonna come. Dr. A said, hey, we're going to school. We came and yeah, we did really well through that storm. So I think it's something that we could lead into this winter and hopefully, like we've already did some gutters, we've been proactive that way as well, so.
Yeah, a lot of that is, that I talked today, is the proactive part. So like you mentioned, gutters. So if you don't clean out the gutters yearly, what happens with that water? It stays there, it builds up, it stays on the roof, and then it saturates and eventually leaks. So some of the proactive things that we need to do, the preventative maintenance, that help preserve the roofs and even our HVAC obviously.
I don't
Thank
have
you.
so much a question as much as thank you so much for the presentation, and this is a lot of work. I mean, our district is, we're getting there.
Super
And I
excited.
really like it, and I appreciate all your support to Dr. Alvarez, making sure to stay on top with all the projects.
Yeah, super proud to work with Bassett, you guys know that, so
I
here we
know.
go, let's keep it going, right?
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you so much. Let's talk. Yeah. Okay, moving along,
Where's Armando?
public comments, huh?
Are we doing the Smarter Balance results?
Where is he? Can recognize board member Barajas at 6:06.
Nothing, I'm just going to let them
Okay, moving right along to public comments. At this, we do
Madam
not,
President,
okay, one more.
we have number
Oh, here we
three.
go, yes. The next one is the Smarter Balance test results.
Thank you, Board President, members of the board. I'd like to ask Dr. Kennard, Assistant Superintendent
Oh,
of
no,
Educational Services, to come up. She's got a presentation with our principals on the SBAC data.
Good evening. If I could ask the principals to come up and join me. Thank you. Good evening, board president, board members, superintendent, and the members of the community. Tonight, the principals and I will be presenting the CASP results. And you are. Okay, so tonight we'll be presenting information regarding the CASP results for 2023. Next slide, please. I will present an overview of the CASP system, and then the principals will provide individual reports for their data and their plans of their sites. So as we begin the CASP system, this umbrella represents the whole system. In the middle, you'll see that it's English Language Arts and Mathematics, which is our SBAC. We often refer to those tests as the SBAC assessments. And then there's the alternate assessment there. On the right, you see the Spanish Reading Language Arts assessment, and on the left, you see the science assessment. All of those assessments are underneath the umbrella of the CASP. So why do students take this assessment? It's to provide teachers, students, parents with information about our students' academic progress. And who takes this assessment? In language arts and in math, grades 3 through 8, all of our students in grades 3 through 8. And once in high school, and that would be our 11th grade students. And then for the science, who takes the science assessment would be our grade 5 students, our grade 8 students, and our high school students. How do our students take this assessment? Digitally, it's on the computer, it's adaptive, it adjusts its difficulty. There are varied question types. Many years ago, we had a CST that was very different. And so there's multiple choice, read and response, constructive response, performance task. It's a very different type of test for our students to do. So this chart, I'd like to call your attention to the middle section. This is our district-wide results along with our state and our county results. In the middle, you'll see that it's English Language Arts met or exceeded percentages. And I'll begin there, and you can see the first row says California, LA County, and Bassett Unified. So for language arts, 22, 23, and the plus and a minus. California decreased by 0.4%. The county decreased by 0.53, and Bassett Unified went up by 2.34% in language arts. In their math, the same setup here. Everybody went up in math across the state. So there was a 1.24% for the state, in the county 2.01%, and at Bassett 2.16%. increase between 22 and 23. This is the same information, just in a graph, and you can see California as the first two graphs over the 2 years, the county, and again, Bassett all the way to the right. The next couple of slides are language arts and math by school site. So you can see here on this chart, the first school is Don Julian, and you can see from 22 to 23, there went from 38% to 40%, and all along, most of our schools had an increase all the way across, and so it's the direction we want to be going. The next slide is the same information but for math. So again, you can see Don Julian all the way through across a comparison of last year to 22 to 23. And so our district-wide cycle of continuous improvement. Our focus is on student engagement. And the first two bullets there talk about our rest collaboration. Our principals are very collaborative, work together. You will hear that in the presentations. You will hear that we work together with our expectations, our guidance, and we share best practices. We also collaborate with our TOSAs. We have one TOSA at every school site. And so we meet monthly, the principals and I, and the TOSAs, we meet monthly. We have iReady data chats, and we talk about what we're going to do about this data, what we're doing about the SBAC data, what we're going to do about our iReady data across the district. And then you can see the next two bullets are on professional development. Principal professional development, we have an ongoing group that we're working with, and the main work that we're doing here with them is identifying intentional instructional planning. What are the practices of our teachers that have been very successful, impactful in the classroom? What are their practices? What are they intentional about in their instruction? And so each principal is working with a team of teachers at their site to put that together. And then our district-wide PD, our Ed Services team, our math task force, and our LEGO partners are working together on engagement via mathematical practices, MP1 and MP3, which is mathematical practice 1 and mathematical practice 3. 3 has a lot of engagement in it, so again, our focus is on student engagement. The site leadership teams, they're either an ILT, instructional leadership team, or the guiding coalition. It's the same concept. And their focus, they meet once a month district-wide, and then twice, the other 2 Wednesdays in the month, they meet as a grade level at their school site. And their questions are the 3 PLC questions. What do we need our students to know? How will we know what evidence to learning the standard or learning target? And what interventions will we be providing to ensure that the students are learning that? You will hear information about during the school day interventions, after school interventions, and some enrichment. With that, I present to you Mr. Ariana.
Good evening. All right, thank you. Yes, thank you, Dr. Kennard, for the opening. Again, here is our data, and as Dr. Kennard said, our school did go up overall by 2+ points in both ELA and math. And this is some of the breakdown by grade level. So it does look like a lot, but I did want to point out a few things and a few positive jumps we had. And we do have a goal of continuing for this school year of a 10% increase. That's our absolute minimum. But we did have some positive growth. Starting with the 4th grade. So the last 2, the blue and the green parts of the graph show those students who have met or exceeded the grade level standard, and that was a 5% increase from 2022 to 2023. We also had a big drop, a 6% drop in those students that had not met the grade level, down from 50 to 44% in that same grade. 5th grade had a pretty big 8% growth in the meets or exceed standard, and this is of course the ELA comparison right here. And then we also had another growth in the 7th grade, a 6% growth of those students who had met or exceeded the standard from 2022 to 2023. And then finally, our 8th grade did have some growth as well. They dropped from 30 to 26% on the students that were not exceeding that standard. And then our last 2 of students who met or exceeded, raised by 3% overall in ELA last year. The next slide is our math SBAC comparison from 22 to 23. Again, some positive, beginning with the 4th grade, there was a 9% increase in the students who met or exceeded the level from 22 to 23. 5th grade had an 11% increase in those two areas. And then also, again, a 10% drop in the students who did not exceed that level. So that's both positive growth on both sides. 7th grade, again, met or exceeded, had a 5% growth, the green and the blue parts of the bar graph over there in 7th. And then 8th grade, if you look, had a tremendous growth, dropping from 65% down to 39% students who did not exceed. That's a 26% increase. And they also had, they went from 33% of students who met or exceeded up to 60% this last year. So that was by far our biggest increase in the school year, and something we want to continue and hope that happens throughout every grade level. All right, next slide. All right, so student engagement, some of the things, and again, it is very collaborative. Our group, the principals up here, meet quite frequently, and we talk about a lot of these things. These are some of the student engagement and instructional focus that we have at Don Julian, including a couple of things. If you walk into any classroom at Don Julian right now, you're going to see the daily content and language objectives posted on the board. And that has been, I think, at 100% mark at this point right now. So students are doing an excellent job with that. We're also using thinking maps and sentence frames as a part of our structure in the daily routine. And this is something, again, that you'll see in every single classroom on Don Julian. Opportunities for students to respond and student engagement. That's something that we're continuing to push and hoping to get more of. You'll see the way our classrooms are set up in small groups and small pods, students working together, collaborating. Teachers will stop the lesson and say, turn to your partner and talk and collaborate and discuss how you came up with that answer, and allows for more student voice and choice throughout the lesson. Daily RTI time. I have a TOSA up there as well, like Dr. Bernard said. She helps me tremendously with that. When we set our RTI time, we set smart group instructions. She helps me plan out and schedule our instructional aid support and which classroom they're going to be in throughout the day. So teachers have opportunity to create small groups within the class and centers where the teacher can teach one group, the instructional aid can work with one group, and maybe there's another group working independently for a few minutes and they rotate through. Again, we do have PLT time throughout. We have an ILT, instructional leadership team at Don Julian. Our PLT time, those 2 Wednesdays a month, are focused on looking at our data, our ready, benchmarking our SBAC data that teachers do grade level, and that's how they plan their RTI groups and see how those look each and every time. Interventions, not just the tutoring. We offer some after school tutoring. Some teachers are also offering some Saturday school tutoring and enrichment opportunities when we have Saturday on our school site, Saturday school. So that's been something that's been ongoing and continuing to improve across all grade levels. And then finally, again, our TOSA, she does a tremendous job. She's an expert at searching data, so we're constantly collaborating, working together. She does help, and she also pulls out a small group throughout each day as well and works on early literacy and reading for some of the younger students right now. Thank you very much. I want to turn it over to Mr. Viales.
Thank you. Good evening. For Edgewood Academy, as you see here, the first graph, we're looking at English language arts. So I'll highlight a couple of clusters here, a couple of groups. So if you can refer to, it is grade 6 in 2001-22. So we had that group, that cohort, now this past year as 7th graders. You see a significant jump from, if I'm not mistaken, it was, sorry, the numbers here. It was 41% to a 51% of students meeting or exceeding the standard. So that I like to see the cohorts because it's the same group of students. Of course, we do want to see the best practices that a teacher is providing for a particular grade level. But following those cohorts and seeing their improvement, their progress from year to year is also extremely important. So that's a highlight I want to share with you. It's interesting, or I'm interested to see how they perform now as 8th graders, because this is our 8th grade group. Typically, we see a bit of a drop off in 8th grade. We're in talking with teachers and during PLT time, looking to see if it's a lack of motivation, lack of interest, communication with parents, and relaying that information of this is an important test for student performance to show growth and how it's going to impact them eventually in high school as well. If we can go into the next slide, please. So this is also a comparison now in math. So I'll highlight in this particular area, grade 5 in 21-22 school year, in comparison to grade 6 in 22-23 school year. You see also a significant jump there. That's a cohort from the 5th grade to the 6th grade, that increase. So again, following that cohort, we do see, unfortunately, some of our middle school grades, the number of students not meeting standard, that has increased, over, well, from, especially in the middle school grade. So we do see that increase there. So that's something that I'll address in the next slide when we start looking at that. Yes.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Who was your 6th grade math team for 2022-23? Because those numbers, 50% meet, exceed standard, phenomenal.
That is Mrs. LeVay.
They?
Yeah, I had one math teacher.
She did all of them?
I'm sorry?
And she, this was all her, LeVay?
Yes,
She's not working with anyone else, just Miss LeVay?
just her and her colleagues from other sites.
Okay, so again, just Miss LeVay?
Total 70% meets or exceeds.
Who is Miss LeVay working? Right, that's phenomenal, 50%, I'm just like, wow, I'm forward. 7%, I mean, when you look at the state itself, heck, if you look at affluent communities, this is just, only 7% do not meet standard, that's wild.
Right. Absolutely.
Again? Miss LeVay.
Miss
Shout out to
LeVay.
Miss LeVay. Yeah.
If we can go into the next slide, please. So our instructional focus, of course, we have school-wide commitments. So something that I started my school year off with as teachers were returning is I told them, look, this is my vision. This is what I want to see. I want to see an increase across all grade levels. Collectively, we came up with commitments. So I challenged them to themselves brainstorm, and then together we came up with these commitments of course, the learning objectives being posted in the classroom. Also student engagement, and you heard my colleague, Ms. Friday-Annis, mention about opportunities to respond. So if you think of maybe a traditional classroom where the teacher is teaching and the students are just kind of taking everything in, we want to be able to give the opportunity for students to respond. And that can be just a quick turn to your partner and speak. Teachers have a 3 before me, so if they're doing an activity, they speak to 3 other peers before they share with the teacher, or ask their peers before they ask the teacher. So they have different strategies like that. I also challenge my team beyond those school-wide commitments to also come up with at least 2 grade level commitments. So as a team, they came up with different, and these are just some examples. Thinking maps is something that I initially wanted to have as a school-wide commitment. I'm hoping that by the end of the school year and moving into next school year, that's a school-wide commitment that we can have. Quite a few of my teachers need a refresher in thinking maps. We have some new teachers that have not been trained in thinking maps, so that's something that we want to implement. I can't hold it over them as an expectation until they are, properly trained, and that can be an expectation of mine. Spiral review, we have quite a few grade levels that are doing spiral review, whether it's math concepts or grammar concepts. Varied levels of questioning, some writing strategies, just name one, the CER. So again, just some of the strategies that they're using and they're committing to. Our RTI, we have dedicated and uninterrupted time. We have our instructional aid support. So we have a schedule where every grade level has at least 2, if not 3 instructional aids that support that grade level. And different from prior years, our grade levels are sharing or mixing their groups within their grade level. So for example, I have 2 second grade teachers, they mix their students by their needs, by their skill levels. So one teacher takes, for example, the enrichment groups, and the other teacher takes the students that need more support. With the support of the instructional aid, they get that support in small groups and they can address those learning targets that the students are not getting. PLC, we have, again, a focus on our data, looking at iReady, benchmarks, SBAC, and LPAC scores. As Dr. Kennard mentioned, every site has a TOSA. My TOSA works in both math and reading. What we noticed with our data is that our lower grades, like early elementary, first, second, and third grade, need support in basic reading, phonics, things like that. So our TOSA is working specifically with them in that area. With our upper grades, looking at math and support in that area. We also have after school and Saturday intervention and enrichment for our students that we provide.
I will pass it off to Mrs. Scott.
Thank you. Good evening, and I apologize for looking at my phone, but I have the data on my phone so I can open it and see it, so I apologize. But it's the same data you're looking at here on the screen. So I would like to, this is the first picture here on my left is our ELA data. And I would like to highlight the growth that we've seen in our third grade, both in English and in math. So our third grade is really a grade that I'd like to highlight this evening, show that their efforts are coming forward on ELA and also in math. Moving on, I'd also like to highlight particularly in our, sorry, next picture. In our, on the second picture of our math data, I'd like to highlight our fifth grade group in particular, who's shown some significant growth in math. We didn't show growth in fourth grade, we maintained, but in the fifth grade, I would like to definitely highlight the growth that we've seen there. We are happy to see that. That's also kind of in line with what we saw in Dr. Kennard's previous slides with the growth statewide and countywide in math. So I'm happy to see that, particularly in math. We want to see it across the board. Our teachers are collaborating in a huge way, and I'll highlight that on the next slide, to really increase student engagement so that we can see their efforts, their instructional efforts come forward on the tests, not only on SBAC, but on our other measures as well. If you'd go to the next slide, please. Thank you. So I apologize again for sounding redundant with my colleagues, but I think you will obviously see that we are huge in collaboration and we do work very well together. So you do see the similarities here. We are looking again at student engagement. We know that we have an instructional focus, but our next goal is to really revisit our definition of student engagement and what that looks like on a daily basis in our classrooms. And we also know with increased student engagement, not only will we see the data that shows that, but we'll also increase our chronic absenteeism. So we want to really be sure that we are ensuring students know why they are learning what they're learning by making sure those objectives are posted. If they are not able to, if students are not able to communicate why they're learning what they're learning, the chances of them retaining it and then applying it in days moving forward are very slim to none. So that is something that I brought and opened up the school year with, is a really big need for me to see that. It's not just for me as their administrator to see as we're walking through, are we on task with what we planned today, but do the students know? And that's the first question I ask, what are you learning today? I really try to stay away from the question, what are you doing? I rephrase it, what are you learning today? We want to increase those opportunities to respond. Something that we're learning through, well, we've learned in our practices, but also revisited with the Molina Learning Group, is students should be responding and speaking 85 to 90% of their day, and that's a lot. So when we talk to our teachers about that, it's really giving them the strategies that they need to allow the students to do the thinking and the sharing of their thoughts with each other and with whole group. We are doing that through many different strategies. Some of the ones I listed here: think, pair, share, and the use of whiteboards. So think, pair, share is more about turning to your partner or working with your table group of 4 students. And then just the whiteboards are really great. Kids love whiteboards, first of all. They are very likely to participate. It's a very safe way to show my teacher what my answer is, because everybody's looking at everybody's holding their whiteboard for their teacher. So their teacher can get very quick checking for understanding and then modify accordingly. We are also looking at the increase of the use of academic vocabulary. We know that our students absolutely need that. They, in their daily, they speak very much in slang or, maybe modeling off of the media that we see. And so we really are trying to focus on our use and expectation of academic vocabulary. So sentence frames are very huge in that, giving the students the frame of what they need to be able to participate in the conversation and share their thinking with their fellow students and with their teachers. You'll see the use of GLAD strategies throughout many of our classrooms, which really is not only just an interactive way to learn, but it's high usage of academic vocabulary. The use of thinking maps as well. You'll see thinking maps pretty much throughout all of our classrooms. And we are also in the place of needing some training for some of our teachers, but the use of them are there. And I'd like to highlight the RTI schedule. I just would like to note that this year it is school-wide. We had a couple grades doing this the last couple of years, but this year we are all jumping in and doing it school-wide, which is, to me, a huge, huge accomplishment for our teachers to try something new. And so we do tier 3, all of 3 different times by grade level. We mix our grade levels by need, and those teachers are really collaborating strongly to make sure that they're using their tier 3 time accordingly, with the use of data, common formative assessments, iReady, benchmarks, and SBAC and LPAC data. And then it's modified to meet the students' needs. So the schedule is in draft form because we're constantly changing it to meet the needs of the students. It's not so much about what we as adults need, but what do we need for our students so that we can continue doing tier 3 school-wide. So that is one of my proudest things right now, is that we're all doing tier 3. Everyone was doing tier 2 in their own classrooms, but tier 3 is taking the next step to collaborate with other teachers and to really to just try new things and focus on one skill set at a time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, I would like to now introduce Ms. Paredes, principal of Van Weyck.
Thank you, good evening. I'm also gonna use my phone so I can actually read the data. I really want to highlight my 3rd grade team. If you look at our 3rd grade scores in ELA, we went from 29% to 42% meeting or exceeding in language arts. And in math, we went from 27% to 42%. And I think that has to do with, we have Artosa, and last year and this year, our 3rd grade does a whole math lab. So the teacher goes into the TOSA's classroom and it's a math lab. So they have 4 different centers happening. And the TOSA and the teacher are teaching different skills, and when the kids are doing independent work, games, things like that. We started that last year and we're doing it again, and we've increased it to our 4th grade and 5th grade now, because we saw the results with 3rd grade. So that's one of our highlights. Also, our 4th grade team also went up in meeting and exceeding from 34% to 46% in ELA, and from 30% to 34% in math. Our 5th grade, we are working on. They're struggling for some reason. They took a dip, and we're working on that. And one of the ways, if you can go to the next slide, one of the ways that we're doing that is Artosa is really focusing right now on our 3rd through 5th grade, because we know that they're SPEC testing. And so we want to make sure that our 3rd through 5th grade are getting those skills. And she's doing a lot of tier 3 interventions. The teachers are doing RTI. We're calling it Wildcat Time. Grade by grade level and skill. And one of the highlights for us is that this year, our kindergarten usually start their RTI in January, and they started it with us in September. So kindergarten, TK and kinder have begun their RTI in September. So we're hoping that that's gonna help us in that. But Artosa is working really closely. So on top of the RTI, Artosa also pulls out small groups based on those common formative assessments. Teachers are reaching out to her, and she's working with small groups in her, as a TOSA in her room, and just helping with reinforce those skills that the students aren't getting. So that's one of the highlights that we have going on. Same thing as my colleagues, we've made commitments since the beginning of the year through our PLC and PLT process, making sure that learning objectives at 100% of the classrooms have learning objectives on the board, and the students know what they are. And as far as well as the questions that we ask, what are you learning, why are you learning this? And then giving them increasing opportunities to respond in think their shared whiteboards, having the students move around, not just at their desk, but getting up and being able to move around and find partners outside of their desk, because it gives them the opportunity to share with other people. Increasing academic vocabulary, same thing, sentence frames, glad strategies, and thinking maps. We've just begun with our ILT, looking at the academic vocabulary that they're gonna encounter on those SBAC tests, and really challenging my EL task force is challenge our teachers to come up as a grade level with 2 or 3 of those academic vocabulary that they're gonna focus on throughout the year. So we're working on that as we speak. And then again, our RTI, our Tier 2 and Tier 3, and our TOSA, who's working on both language arts and math. And then after school interventions in math and ELA, and that's gonna be continuing. And then also, we have our LTEL, where we have an LTEL after school intervention that's helping our students, our long-term English learners, 4th and 5th grade, getting ready for the LPAC and just those skills that they need. So, thank you, and I will hand it over to my colleague.
Good evening, and I'm very glad to be here to present some data on our school. I wanted to highlight our 6th and 7th grade in math that went up 6th grade in ELA from 34 to 31 to 34%, so there was a highlight there. In 7th grade, they went from 31% to 36%, and that was in math again. Our 6th and 7th graders in math also went up in our data. They went from 17 to 26% in 6th grade, and in 7th grade, they went from 14 to 18%. So we are seeing some progress there with regards to our scores. With regards to our instructional plan, I wanted to share that we do have intervention during RTI as well, school-wide, and we are focusing on our math scores, and those seem to be a little bit lower than our ELA scores. Our grade levels collaborate and work together to develop common formative assessments on which they assess students after a certain amount of weeks, and then they are able to shift students around if that's necessary, or focus, change their focus if they need to. With regards to after-school tutoring, we have tutoring for both ELA and math, and we have our great TOSA that does do that after-school tutoring that incorporates music into ELA, and we do have a good response to that, as well as teachers that do math after school. Our TOSA also does small group instruction, in which she pulls different students out throughout different class periods and focuses on those different skills that students need. School-wide commitments, we are working on those. Our learning objectives are something that we are also focusing on, and that's something that students are expected to be able to speak to and be able to know what they're learning about, as well as that academic language that is expected also to be able to refer to and use throughout lessons. Our instructional leadership team are also identifying common instructional practices and student engagement strategies, and we are talking as well about those things per share, where students are able to, talk to a partner and able to, because when you're able to verbalize and say what you've learned, right, you're able to retain it. So we are encouraging teachers to be able to use those things per share, and making sure that they're able to hear from all students as opposed to just one student, right, when we're having those lessons, and for students to be able to participate multiple times throughout the lesson and throughout periods. Our PLP process continues, focusing on data and developing that rigorous discussion to meet student needs, making sure that we reflect on the data that's being seen, and collaborating with our peers to make sure that we edit those practices are successful. We are also speaking about our interim assessment blocks and our interim assessments that are related to past where students are practicing how to use those dashboards, what academic language is being used, and how teachers are able to still use that data to encourage and to enhance their teaching, and to reflect what do we need to teach to move forward, what do students need to learn with regards to it. So it's really good to prepare them for the actual SBAC.
Good evening, so mine isn't as busy, right, cause I get graded one day. I get one shot and but all the good work of my colleagues all comes up to when, you know, the students get to us. So of course, highlights, our ELA department increased 4% from 54 to 58. I must say that's well above the state average, right, of being at grade level in ELA, which is a huge kudos to our ELA department. Although when we look at math, we probably look at decrease in mathematics, but by about a percentage and a half. And in that sense, we're really thinking about for this next school year, what are those tools that ELA is using that could benefit math? And one of those things is that our ELA folks do the whole ICA, and the whole IABs, they pull out, they do the grading, they do the whole thing, we get subs. So that our team can actually do the whole process with our kids, evaluate and see what areas are needed as they go into teaching for the second half of the year. So we're thinking of doing the same thing with mathematics and figuring out how do we get our math teachers to intentionally give the IABs, give them the time and give them the time to assess and see where they're at and move forward that way. As far as if you look overall, you know, Bassett High School has made progress, right? An area of need up to mathematics, for sure, across the board. So I think you on the board, I can tell you what we're doing. So we have intentional intervention in the sense that we have mathematics support classes. And this year we're fully staffed with a brand new math team. So we brought on 2 brand new teachers who have experience in the districts, and they're really working cohesively to try to figure out what does that math intervention look like. Because it's one thing to have it, but it's another thing to actually intentionally work with your partner teacher, right? So providing that time for that to happen. One tool that, you know, they're using across the board is the use of Formative. Formative is an online tool where they can create assessments. So they can do a CFA and they can do it in real time and they can all give it. So we're working towards that. We have common prep times in ELA and math, which has already been there since before I got there, but we're continuing that. But thinking about what does that time actually look like? You could have a common prep time and you could be planning, but what does that really look like? So intentionality between myself and my APs to be present in those meetings and to kind of support and guide and provide, you know, feedback when needed. We have planned after school tutoring. I've been trying for a couple months and today I finally got a solid team. So we're gonna be having, for example, our ELD, we have a lot of newcomers, lots of newcomers who are coming to us at the high school level who have sometimes no Spanish at all, right? And they're like, their literacy skills are very, very far behind. And we're expecting them to reclassify and keep up with, you know, government and econ and all the everything else. So Ms. Soto has graciously lended herself to do a morning boost with our newcomer students and our long-term ELs. So in the mornings, she'll, as soon as you all approve it, she'll be coming in the kids will be coming to her, we'll be intentional, we'll pull the kids and then she'll be working with them in their core classes and in the ELs, whatever they do, really targeted towards their specific needs. So making sure that our English learners are making progress by acquiring English, but also being able to access it. So we have that going, and we're gonna offer tutoring in all the different areas. We already have tutoring happening now. So we have Cyber High teachers, Mr. Castillo, he does Cyber High, the kids come in if they need help in math. And Mr. Cabrera, tutoring all the time. They come in and they get help and whatever they need. We really wanna formalize that in a way where we're targeting. Not just saying, hey, tutoring's open, but no, we're gonna call these kids, all these parents and say, hey, they have to show up. So that we're really intentional with using that time. Our PLC process is really focusing on student engagement, like data analysis strategies. I'm really trying to refine that. I have some plans for this year to take up my team across the board to PLC training. Because, you know, a lot of us, you know, we can always use a little more, you know, training to see what does that PLC look like, you know, with intentionality. The visibility of admin in the classroom is huge, something that I know that we're really intent on. Getting into classrooms every single day, just to know, see, if we don't know, we don't know, right? We're all a brand new admin team, so we're out there in classrooms all the time. Our ILT, we're working on identifying signature strategies and those intentional practices that we want to see across the board. We're doing our work through the ILT, but also within the Molina group, because our group, the teachers that are on my ILT are typically the ones that are working with the Molina group, to really being intentional with that intentional practices. And like I said earlier, we're really gonna push to do the IABs and the ICAs, not only in ELA, but in math. So we really gotta think about what is the language of math at that time. And I think that's the foundation for us, is thinking about, okay, we can say we're doing intervention, we could say we're teaching it, but what does that look like? What does it look like, and can we come up with signature strategies, a foundation for what is happening? And I think that's something that we really need to focus on while I'm doing I mean, a lot of it, and I'll be honest, a lot of it is what we have to cover, because we're not doing it now. But on the other end of it, we are starting to engage in the cost process, the coordination of services team, because we're noticing that a lot of our kids who are struggling in academics are struggling emotionally. And we have all these resources at the high school. We met today to think about how do we coordinate all that and bring in the SST process and get the kids to therapy and get the kids academic support. So we're really working on how do we coordinate everything so it's not just the hodgepodge, we don't know what we're sending kids. So we're gonna do a cost team process where our accountants are giving training today. And what does that look like? And how do we refer and how do we streamline it? So our students, 9 times out of 10, we all know as educators that if you're struggling academically, something else is happening, especially at high school. So how can we coordinate and kind of support so that we can see, if we don't, math goes before bloom. If we don't meet those basic needs, we're not gonna see any increases. So we're really focusing on that SEL focus as well, and making sure that we're coordinating together. Do we have questions? Dr. Kennard?
So next slide.
Any questions for Dr. Kennard?
That's our presentation for this evening. If you have any questions, we are very happy to answer.
You know I'm gonna have a whole bunch of questions. The first one, are these scores indicative of everyone? The scores that are posted up here, we have no disaggregated subgroups on this, so this is everybody. Could we see that with the disaggregated groups? Because that is so significant when you pull out those children, whether it be ELL or SPED kids, or our other populations. Also, knowing that, all testing is language-based, what are the elementary schools doing for literacy specifically? Because I know Dr. Maldonado addressed it, addressed a whole bunch of my questions right off. Just started checking them off. Thank you for covering that. What does math look like in a high school? Because a lot of it is also language-based. Can you comprehend it? And what are you guys doing to address that direct foundational skills for literacy? Because I know when I give a test, I'm looking over the kid's shoulder going, I don't even know what they're asking. And our kids might be sharp on skills. They might know how to manipulate numbers. They might know how to write a great expression, but if they don't get the intent of the question. So are you using practice tests from the SBAC side?
I can speak to that. So, and I don't know if I'm speaking for you guys, but, so at the lower grades, I would say the tier 2 and the tier 3 interventions are really what we're working on to give them that one-to-one, skill focus on, letter sound recognition, blending, so that you can be able to read, because that's huge. If you're not reading by 3rd grade, you know all the statistics around that, and that's why we have a lot of policies in place to keep us focused on it. But in the 3rd through 5th grade, we are, at my side, I can just say that we are definitely focused on using the practice tests and the minimums. Starting with the practice test, maybe as a morning warm-up type of a thing, to move into then the familiarity of seeing these test questions and how they are so reading intensive, whether it's language arts or math. It's definitely reading is a skill that you must have. So they need to be exposed to those tests sooner and not just like, I would say in March before we're getting ready. We're talking about that now. There is an expectation at my school that we are instituting at least test once a month. And that's something that our teachers came up with. I said that would be someone said, can we have once a month? I said, that would be my dream. And that's something that we've committed to. So I do agree that they need earlier exposure to the ones so that they can, the teachers can take the moment that they can in that time to highlight, let's break this question apart together. What is being asked of us? And we know they can't do that once the test arrives. They need those strategies way soon.
Do we have the interactive boards in the modernized classrooms where they can interact with the test?
Yeah, so.
And you can use it as a whiteboard over the board, okay.
That's what we're doing, our leadership team just came up with that plan. We're starting to expose the students to the practice test and interim test, but my teachers are gonna do a whole class first.
Yes.
To lower the affective filter, show them all the tools, do that, have them come up to the whiteboard and things like that. And the other thing that they're doing in 3rd through 5th grade is breaking up those word problems and using one of the skills that some of my teachers are using are like the colored pencils to highlight like those keywords and things like that. And then my Toast is an expert, so she's been working with the teachers on getting them. CASP has a lot of resource tools, and it's literally like the lesson plan is already there for them. So today she started introducing my third grade team to that, and she's gonna be working with my third and fifth grade on that. But same thing, we have the expectation that once a month they're gonna be interacting with that test in some way and being able to use the vocabulary and understand the questions in context, because a lot of times we give our students the vocabulary, but we don't give it to them in the context that it's being asked. And so that's one of the things that my team is working on.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Also, I wanted to commend DJ for wanting at least 10%. And if you, we're all there, we all want it. We know it might not be doable realistically with certain kids because of their emotional needs and whatever else. But thank you for for all voicing that. And you mentioned thinking maps. I know I'm taking too much time, but this is my area. You mentioned thinking maps. Have you all looked into right from the beginning, which is a really great bridge into writing?
So as a matter of fact,
I'll give you my book.
PD for our teachers, and I spoke to the lady today, and we're in the works of trying to figure out a PD district-wide. We did that for GLAD, so all of us are actually gonna bring our teachers together and try to do a training. And we're trying to do the logistics of that, because my area is, my teachers don't want to use thinking maps, and I need them to move from the thinking maps to the writing part, and that's where we're having the difficulty.
That's the best bridge, trust me. We've used it for years.
I just was speaking to the lady today, and I'm in the process of getting that together for us, sometime in January.
Yeah, and I'm glad you're all committing to a rich academic vocabulary because our students are writing THX, and it's like, that's not how you spell it. And they're not even learning the sounds of things anymore. They're not learning what words are necessary to extrapolate the true meaning of a question because they don't know the vocabulary. I had a student that had a question and I talked about a silo, and she knew what a missile silo was because it was that time of, the world. They were talking about a grain silo. So because she didn't know that part of it, she got the answer wrong. And I think we're tripping our kids up if we don't give them that exposure. So thank you all for that. Quite honestly, we don't need comparison to state or local or state or county because we are Bassett and we are responsible only for our own. And you guys are really trying and I appreciate that.
Yeah, I like the fact that you guys are all working together and it seems like it's real. You're genuine. You're really a team. There's no divas. There's no, you're all trying to work together.
I don't know about
You're all trying to work together and you're all on the same page. And even though your schools are unique, you're using everything that you're learning to fit into your unique schools. And I really like that. So thank you guys all. Thank you, Dr. Kennard, for your work with all of them. So thank you.
Oh, principals. I have to say one last thing. It's only academic. You guys did a great job. Scores might be a little red, but go back to what Dr. Maldonado said. You have to have your basic needs met, and our kids are in a real tender, delicate way right now, and you can't teach them how to write an essay unless they have emotional needs met. So I think we all commend you all on what you're doing for that. And luckily we have the services available. So thank you.
All right, team, great job, man. We went up 2 points, a little bit over 2 points, both ELA and math. Overall, that's progress, that's good. On the other hand, I do like to see where we're at when it comes to state, when it comes to county. Not necessarily because I'm looking at see where they're at, but I want to see where we're at and where we're going. At the end of the day, if we keep going up just 2 points, 3 points every year, before you know it, we'll be above state average, county average, and so on. So I'm not the one that's going to tell you like, hey, we're 20 points behind, catch up now, because that's wishful thinking. It's ignorance if we really want to get there, because it doesn't happen like that unless you have a genie that comes with all that. That's a whole different story. Anyway, that being said, good job. I hope that you all continue focusing at least 2 to 3 points a year. And I think, again, you put that in perspective, you make that 5 years, you're over 10 points already. And a lot of districts don't even get that far. A lot of districts stay practically thresholds. Yeah, they stay on the threshold. While y'all continue with the presentation, I just had to do this, man. I had to go back to the base course and I had to pull up San Marino. So I pull up San Marino with kids that are socioeconomic disadvantaged, which is también our community. And when it comes to their kiddos, 68.97% met or exceeded, whereas 70.21 of LeBay met or exceeded. So her numbers are looking better than San Marino, and a lot of times when we look at San Marino, a lot of those kiddos end up going to top universities. So that being said, there's something special there. I think y'all know that. So I'll keep that one there. You know, when you're all talking about the assessments, se me pasó el nombre, the practice test that we take for the CAS, what they're called again? The interims, but there's another word that we use as well. Anyway. IABs, there you go, IABs. How did that go away? I don't know. Anyway, IABs. You know, one thing that I learned, because English language learners has always been my love, and you know, LPAC, that's been my thing. And I always look at the state assessments because those tests are very technical. And you know, I learned that the CASP is also very technical. And those IABs, it took me like 2-3 years to actually really care about them. To realize that, yes, they're practically technical like the assessment itself. So it's like so similar, and because I seen it. So I seen a real test and I seen the practice question. I'm like, yo, this is practically the same thing. That being said, you know, it's very important that teams, of course, get together, work together, especially with the writing section, because we know that those are graded heavily by the state. Ensuring that our kiddos, if they're in high school, they know how to write an essay. If they're in middle school, that they know how to write well, to constructive paragraphs and all that type of stuff. And you know, you said formative. I love formative. I used to use it for my writing for LPAC, because unlike with Google Docs, you cannot autocorrect. Either you get it right or you get it wrong. That's that. And I mean, that's what's gonna happen on the assessment, right? You cannot autocorrect at all. So those are great tools. But overall, you know, 2 points. And if you do it again next year, another 2 points. Then the following year, 2 points. Yeah, 6 points. I just keep going. How they say, how do you eat an elephant? One piece at a time, right? Yeah. So I do appreciate all your work. Whatever you all need from us, please let us know. This is why we're here for our kiddos, to ensure that they're academically well, social emotionally well, and grow up to be great, productive community members. So gracias.
Madam President. For myself, I'll be comparatively brief. I think everything has been said already basically, but I'm just giving my commendation to all of you, especially to you, Dr. Knark, for your team. I'm still learning obviously a lot when it comes to what it is to sit on the seat, and I really appreciate all the data that you've given us tonight. Taking a lot of notes that I'll eventually probably chat up with you whenever I'm lording your campus, whatever I'm doing, but I appreciate all the data and all the work you're doing. Similar to my colleagues, there's a lot of work that we see that is progress and a lot of potential to continue our progress, so I'm looking forward to it. So just short, sweet, to the point. Thank you.
It's just like my kids say, little by little, we'll get to the middle. Let's just go, keep on going. So thank you.
Yes, I would also like to add, thank you so much for all your hard work. And as Dolores mentioned, you're a team. You're a team, and that alone just really makes my heart glad that you're working together. And because everybody's got more or less the same, you're helping one another, and that's seen. So really, I do appreciate all your time and all your efforts, everything you're doing for our students. I do.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're moving along to public comments. And nobody has signed up, so I don't have to read this whole
Closed session?
thing.
Nope.
Closed session. We also don't have anybody signed up for public comments or open session, so I'm not gonna read that whole long unless anybody wants to hear it. Okay.
Aye.
So.
There's no second.
Motion dies. We'll move on to the superintendent comments.
Thank you, Board President, members of the board. Just a few things. It's been about a month since we've been here. There's a lot that's been going on. I do a couple of things. I had the opportunity the other day to stop by some training that was going on for our instructional aides. It's kind of like the PAT training and how to really, when you're working with our special education children, especially when they're maybe being aggressive at times, how to handle it. So that you maintain your own safety and the child's safety as well. We also had a training for our principals on how to handle bomb threats as well as the office staff. So thank you for all of them for participating. It's just something you never want to happen, but you want to be prepared for. I had the opportunity to participate at the La Puente Veterans Dinner last week. I was able to go. A lot of veterans from La Puente recognized, so just one, so there, it was nice to see so many veterans there being recognized for their service. Thanksgiving's coming up, so I want to thank all our staff, our students and our parents, as they get ready to come into Thanksgiving break. We will be off all next week. This Friday is a minimum day. Just take the time to spend it with your family, your loved ones, enjoy the time off so we can come back and hit the ground running again. So thank you very much. Good night.
Thank you, Dr. Alvarez. Board Member Barajas.
For sure. You know, Thanksgiving's around the corner, and I am thankful and grateful for a lot of the work that a lot of our staff do for our kiddos. I mean, like I said, I just share with principals right now that you know, the job that you guys have, let's just be honest, a lot of people won't want to do it. It's tough. So I'm grateful that y'all are taking it and saying, you know what, let's make this work. Because a lot of folks probably be like, nah. And I know that for a fact. So yeah, I'm thankful for everything y'all do. I'm thankful for everything our teachers do for our kiddos, a lot of community members. And you know, I'll give a shout out to an awesome community member who does a lot for our community too, Ana Morales. Thankful for her. I hope everybody has a great, loving Thanksgiving Day.
Thank you. Board Member Stanzioni.
First of all, I'd like to give a shout out to our volleyball and football teams. I think you guys can be proud of what you did for this last season. You represented Bassett well, both teams. To cross country, I look forward to more great things to come. If I have to run that far, I take a car. Congratulations to our band for always being there and being the peppy people that they are. I'd like to thank you now to the Rotary Club, the Industry Rotary Club, for honoring our teachers with grants that will benefit our students. The Rotary Club has always come through. They help with our baskets as well. But the Rotary Club are members of our community. They are people that work and live here. And I am grateful to them for helping our teachers out when we need it. I also got a grant too, so I'm really thankful. But anybody that helps our kids, you guys help our kids. You choose to come into Bassett and help the kids that live around us because most of you don't live here. You made a choice. Your teachers made a choice to come and stay and work here. And I'm forever grateful for that because I can think of no better place than home to work. So I do this here, but I work a mile and a half away because it's still home. Because my email for everybody out there is Lost in Lampuane because that's where I am. But as we enter the holiday season, let us remember that not everybody celebrates Christmas or Hanukkah. So please be kind. And we should also remember, also be very thankful that we live in a country where we can still celebrate our diverse cultural holidays, whether it was Day of the Dead or Diwali or anything that comes up, because they're all based on beauty. If you read the story of the Festival of the Lights, you can't help but be moved by it. I read it every year to my students because it's a beautiful piece of literature. Can't get into the religion, but it's just an incredible story. I want to thank our student for joining us tonight and for presenting all that information so clearly that I could keep up with you. And to everybody, I wish you a good night and stay safe over the holiday season. Before we meet again, hopefully you'll see a couple of us in the parade. And some of our board members are going to learn a whole lot of stuff at the state conference for board members. And I wish them a safe journey. Oh, and thank you for all the baskets that were given away to this district for our families. Our families benefit from that constantly and more baskets are going out tomorrow. Thank you. To our Student Services Department, all of you. And I guess Dave that helped pass them out.
150.
150. That's 150 families that will eat better than they usually do. And more that go out and that as they continue, we can only thank the people that gifted them to us. But thank you all for putting them out there and getting them to our families. There are people that wanna help in this community. There are companies right down the street on Nelson that have nobody to give stuff to. We need to start asking them. It's worth a try, right? We'll talk. But thank you all for doing what you do. It's truly appreciated by the people who live here.
Thank you. Board Member Simental?
Thank you for the encore. Also giving the thank you to Grace from Sunkist. I know she just left, but it was nice to recognize her for her really commendable efforts and her family, so that was nice. Shout out to all the holidays we just passed. Of course, we've had Day of the Dead, Indigenous Peoples Day, Veterans Day. So as we go into the Thanksgiving holiday, just thankful for everyone for this past year. I want to also commend student services or ed services for the parent academy that they hosted. I think we've done that within the last month, so it's great that we are starting that. I'm looking forward to continuing that program because it's one thing that I think I hear a lot, aside from all the other things, is making sure that we have the resources for our parents to get involved and to learn in our schools. It was really nice to attend a few of the fall festivals a couple of the schools had. I was able to make it to Van Wyck and Don Julian, so I appreciate going to the school sites and interacting with the community there. Of course, supporting our Bassett High School fall sports, specifically went to more than I probably like to admit, volleyball and football games. Then as well as going to the last two band showcases at Los Altos and South Hills, and that was really great to see them compete. Other than that, just looking forward to a productive time at the California School Boards Association conference. I'm very grateful that the board allowed me to attend last year as a member-elect, so I'm looking forward to attend as an actual member this year and bringing that knowledge back into the 3 quarters of my term here. So thank you very much, Madam President.
Thank you. Board Member Rivera?
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to thank all the DLAC parents that made the centerpieces for the Parent Academy. They were so beautiful. They were simple, but very beautiful, and they worked hard on that. I also like to thank Dr. Kennard and her whole team and everybody that worked on this Parent Academy. It was great. We've had them way back, but we had more families. Fathers were there with their families and with their children. I mean, it was great to see that they're taking an interest now in school and coming in with their kids and enjoying a lot of the workshops that they went to, a lot of the freebies that were given. It was great. It's a big help for our community. The diapers, the shampoo, the wipes. I mean, that's something that's very expensive and it's hard for them to get, and they were able to get as many as they needed. It wasn't like one per person or one per family. It was what they needed. And so I'd like to thank all of you that worked hard on that, for that, principals, everybody, your whole team. And your parents, your DLAC especially, I mean, that came in the day to do the centerpieces. The academy was great. The speaker was phenomenal. She really touched and engaged a lot of the parents, and they really identified with her. I'd like to thank her for donating the books that all the parents took. She took time to sign every single book for every single parent. No matter what, she stayed there and she signed, and it was great. And I was in awe with her because here's this tiny little person and she's a lieutenant colonel, was a lieutenant colonel in the Army, and it's like you. I mean, it was like, wow. She was one of the first Latina women to go up high in rank in the Army. And that was great to see. That was it's a great role model for our girls to see that too. So I'd like to thank all our veterans that we didn't get a chance to thank. Our students that have gone into the service, thank them for them. Armando and anybody here, Dr. Alvarez, anybody else here that has been in the service, thank you for your service, and your families that have given up time, to allow you guys to go and serve, or women, guys and women, to go and serve, defend our country and take care of our country so we could keep our freedom. I'm very thankful that we have a great Bassett team. And I'm not just saying administration, but I'm saying maintenance, campus monitors, campus aides, or whatever they're called now, SOs, somethings. Thank them all because they all come. I'm very thankful because they give, I know they're getting paid, but they're still giving their time, and a lot of them do go on and beyond, just like Yvonne. was always going beyond, even at the adult school, just with simple things, you know. And I see that she's still doing it and saving lives and stuff like that. So they all have their little grain, you know. We could all make a beach, but everybody throws in their little grain of salt. And we could make a great beach, even better than Huntington or all those. All those foo-foo beaches. So thank you all. And happy Thanksgiving and have a safe one. And enjoy your time off with your families.
Thank you. So, you know, being the last one, you kind of repeat most of everything, but I'm going to do it anyway. So first of all, first and foremost, I'd like to thank Yvonne, who goes by Grace, or Grace is her name, goes by Yvonne. That is such immense, and I could feel, and I felt myself getting emotional, just stepping out and just taking over and doing something like that. Like she said, a mother of 3, and they're gonna have a wonderful Thanksgiving because mom's gonna be there, you know, so that is, you think, you react first, you don't think, should I, shouldn't I, that type of thing. So very much, thank you so much to Yvonne. Thank you to our veterans for their service and their sacrifice. I did attend the Veterans Ceremony. It's a beautiful ceremony at La Puente City Hall, representing Bassett. So I got to see a lot of our veterans. It was really great. And I did share with Dr. Alvarez that I'm hoping that we here at Bassett can do that. You know, we have alumni who are veterans. We have staff who are veterans. And I would really like to see that come here. And if you all noticed at the high school, there were flags and flowers put for some of our veterans over at the high school. Brian, thank you for your report. And I have to share, like Board Member Stanzioni said, it was clear, concise, and we understood. I love athletics. I love it, you know. Sunday morning, I'm on that sofa from 9 a.m. till 7 p.m. I'm just kidding. But no, on our athletes.
Same.
Huh?
Same. No, she's
I'm
not kidding.
I'm not kidding. Okay, so, and it was a banner Sunday. No, it's great. Anyway, thank you to all our athletes, our band and our cheer. You represent Bassett well, and you're proud to be out there. That's really great. I love that. And then overall, there's so much positive. It's been a great month so far. You know, we've heard facilities, all the work that's doing. Thank you, Dave and his team. Thank you, Dr. Alvarez, for making sure that all those things are happening. Academic learning, that's like, I mean, we're preparing our future. We're preparing them to be able to go out into society and be, you know, citizens and things like that. So it's all great. It is all great and all positive. Once again, I will say this over and over. It takes a village, and we've got the village here. The village is here. And we're gonna make it happen for everybody. Thank you to our PTA team. 4 of our campuses have a PTA. Thank you to the teams because they're working hard, working with their principals to build community. You know, Sunkist had their movie night, and, you know, DJ has their festivals. So it's really great to see that. So to all our parents out there, I really encourage you to join PTA to have a voice on your campus. It's really one of the best ways to do that. I'm still beaming over the Parent Academy. I loved it, had a great time, and reiterating everything that my colleague said about Consuelo. She was amazing, you know, she kept calling me, you know, doctora, and I'm like, I'm not a doctorate. And she says, no, she says, you graduated from the highest university ever, she said. And I'm thinking, okay. She goes, life. So you have a PhD in life. And I'm like, okay, I'll take that. But no, it's true. And cracked me up when she said, when she started, how many of you went to University de la Chancla? And I'm like, oh yeah, I was there. My mom could have played for the Dodgers or something. She put a better pitcher. She never missed. But anyway, it's really good. So I'm really looking forward to the spring academy. It was a great time. There was so many people. We kind of were like having to pull out chairs and pull out tables for people to sit. So it was really nice, and talking to the parents. The mariachi was amazing. I mean, you would have heard me sing Volver, Volver. So that was really great. Communications, I see a lot. Thank you, Dr. Alvarez, for getting the board members on Parents Square. Because everything you all get, we get it now. And it's really great. Mr. Leal, I get your Sunday night. I did not take my candy to work the next day. So, yeah, so I'm seeing all the great things that are happening. And whatever not, I'm looking forward to the holiday performances. So if the schedule's out, please send it to us so we can coordinate. And don't do them all at the same time, okay? Because I like to make each district, I'm just kidding. Okay, no, but I really do like to
Should
make
we
as
give
many
them
as
a
I can.
schedule at what time they could do it?
Oh, can we do that? Can we do a doodle poll? I'm just kidding. But I am looking forward to the holiday performances. It just sets us off and it just prepares us. And as we enter the Thanksgiving season, let's be thankful for all we have. As some of the things we've mentioned, we live in the land of the free because of the brave. We're able to celebrate our own things. And I do want to reiterate and recognize also what Mr. Barajas said, a special community member, Ms. Morales. She's really good. She sits on our bond oversight also, watching everybody. So that is really great and wonderful. But to everybody, have a safe and wonderful Thanksgiving. Enjoy your families. And yeah, it's great. So with that said, we're going to move into closed session. Can I get a motion to move into closed session?
So, second.
Moved by Board Member Barajas, seconded by Board Member Stanzioni. Roll call.
Aye.
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 Aye. So we'll move into closed session at 7:16 PM. Okay, absent any objections, we will reconvene from open closed session at 8:15 p.m. Board Member Chimental, may I have a report of action taken in closed session?
Madam President, in closed session on a motion by Ms. Stanzioni and a second by Mr. Barajas, I voted 4 members to approve and 0 members opposed with 1 abstention. The governing board took action to approve request for settlement authority to resolve claim number ASCL 2855 by stipulated award for $10,637.50. The claim would remain open for the provision of future medical care. Employee is no longer employed here. The vote were 4 members in the affirmative, Ms. Stanzioni, Mr. Barajas, Mr. Cimental, and Mrs. Flores. 1 member abstained, Ms. Rivera.
Thank you, Board Member Chimental. We will move into written communications. There are no written communications. Okay, so we will move into approval of resolutions. If it pleases the board, can we do a sweeping motion? Okay,
I move that we do all the resolutions in a sweeping motion.
thank you. Okay, so can I get a motion to approve resolution 016-24, National Homeless Youth Awareness Month, and resolution, oh,
It's the same one.
what's this one? Oh, this discussion. Okay, there's only one. Thought there was 2.
Second. Motion to approve the resolution.
Aye. Well,
Ms. Rivera motion?
Mr. Rivera
And
motion.
then I second it.
He seconded. Roll call.
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay. Item number 2, 2024 proposed meeting dates discussion only. This item is for the board to review and discuss proposed regular meeting dates for 2024 and consider selecting additional dates for governance, goal setting, and board itself evaluation. The board may direct the superintendent on any changes to the proposed dates or additional dates for board meetings. A final recommendation to the board will be presented at the 2023 December regular board meeting. I have a question. Can we do this tomorrow? Can this be done tomorrow?
No. It's not agendized.
Discussion.
We all bring dates or how do we do that?
It's the attachment, isn't it?
Yeah, I will bring mine up.
So if there's an attachment, there's the proposed dates. If you notice, we're sticking to the board policy 1 a month except for 2 months. June is usually, we have 2 board meetings because we have to do a public hearing on the budget and the LCAP. And that at a subsequent meeting, we have the approval of them. And then also in March, we have 2 scheduled, 1 if needed, based on timelines for notices that may have to go out. So that's why we have the second March one. And I know the board has talked about having some workshops. So if now is not a time where the board wants to come up with those dates, here's an opportunity to, you've seen what we have, if these conflict, or maybe give some recommendations to the board. I mean, to the superintendent, we can add those for the next board meeting in December.
Madam President? Your question. Dr. Alvarez, in terms of the schedule that's before us, these are just our regular meeting dates, whereas if we want to do governance workshops, those would be special meetings no matter what, correct?
No, actually, they will still be regular meetings because you're approving them as part of regular scheduled board meetings. Special board meetings are board meetings where the board would call it and 24 hours notice.
I see.
So normally after you approve them for the year, those are considered all your regular board meetings. And then as the year goes through, if you need to add something, usually those are considered special board meetings.
I thought special board meetings were 72 hours and emergency meetings were 24.
No, regular board meetings are 72 hours, special board meetings are 24 hours.
Yep. Emergency is like 1 hour.
Emergency, we'll usually try to do the 24, but within the board policy bylaws, it's specific to how you would handle an emergency kind of type of meeting. What's it, how much reasonable notice can you give? Things like that.
Any other questions? Any questions? Okay, so I'm looking at these. Do any of these fall on not necessarily a holiday, but would there be conflict with? anything?
Asking me.
Yes.
So these are all dates where there is no holiday, there is no scheduled break. These are all during regular school year, except obviously during the summer months, yes. Other than that, these are all scheduled, like we try to keep with the fourth Tuesday board meeting per board bylaw. However, in some cases, based on legal requirements, we weren't able to make that date, so we have to have it a little sooner. Just like I said, based on ed code and laws that dictate us having to take certain actions.
And then these are, none of our governance ones are not on here.
No, unless you wanted to just make one of these, but based on the amount of time that the board has spent on governance, I think it would probably require something outside of board meeting where you're handling the rest of the district business.
So you have,
Unless there's a particular month, the board would want me to find a date and then add it. Or we can just keep it as is and then just schedule those as special meetings.
As needed.
Yeah, Madam President, I would like, if we are going to potentially be concluding our board governance for this year, maybe it would be nice to
I was gonna say,
plan, but not order the tentative dates, and then we could just call the special meetings according to that tentative schedule. I myself don't, at least just for me, don't feel it necessary to make them regular meetings, but by adding them to the schedule, at least for the board workshops.
so as we're doing our board governance and things like that, when are we planning to present final?
So that kind of what we've been doing is trying to reach out to everyone. So I think if maybe between now and the next board meeting, even though we don't include that in there, if we can start getting some months that are best for everybody and then honing in on a particular, if it's a Saturday, a couple of Saturdays.
What I'm saying is, when would be a good time so we can think about when we're gonna do that meeting? So like, is January a good time to do it? So like, I see 2 board meetings in March, but I see the second
And
one
2 in
says if
June.
needed. So if we plan for the if needed, well, no, you might need it. So, you know what I mean? Just kind of put something on the calendar so everybody gets it on their calendar. So when would we like to present the final,
So we're not doing them like the second Tuesday of every month then?
We're presenting the final what?
the final plan, the vision, the mission?
Okay, so we'll present that at a regular board meeting, which these are.
Right, okay.
So they're already done. We don't have to enumerate which one we're gonna do it at right now, do we?
No, because we just added to the agenda, to any one of these agendas.
Exactly.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So the next board governance workshop that we will naturally have, which I don't think it's tomorrow, I think it's, but the next time when we are finishing up our district goals, at that same special meeting, would that be a good time for us to then sit down and identify the next board workshop should be February, whatever, March, whatever at that time, and then when it approaches that week, then that's when the board president, superintendent would then call the special meeting, et cetera.
Correct.
Yep, I mean,
All right,
I'm
so
not
we're,
directing, I'm just asking for suggestions if that made sense.
It makes sense.
Yeah, looking for
So this
some-
is just our meetings for our official business, so.
for for the board's regular business that we do on a
Second Tuesday.
monthly, yearly basis.
So no, it's the 4th.
Because theoretically, we did in our governance workshops, we did make those, I forget what terminology we use, but in terms of like accountability, when are we going to check in on the progress of these goals? So I think it'd be smart for us to refer back to those dates and then pick the special board workshop meetings according to those dates. Like if we said like a mid-year review for something that was in April, then let's have something in April. If we said something in July, let's have it in July, whatever.
And weren't those dates started to be established with our last
December.
planning session?
Yeah, but I don't know off the top of my
So
head.
I don't either, but that would be appropriate. That when we meet tomorrow night, we can revisit.
So maybe tomorrow night, yeah, we can have maybe
Exactly.
some discussions of what month periods, and then we can, from there, Alexander and I can work with all of you on locking in a specific date for those.
That's what I asked.
November and December, the second Tuesdays.
The second Tuesday, the ones that
There's
have
about 4
2,
months that we have the second Tuesdays.
because like June 11th, June 25th, that's the second and the fourth Tuesday.
Mhm.
December
And
would
then
be Christmas
December
holiday.
is the second Tuesday. Because we can't have the fourth
September is the
Tuesday.
first.
November is
Second
because of
Tuesday.
Thanksgiving vacation.
In November.
In
is because
November.
it's- Yeah, because they're holiday events and you can't have. Okay,
And September, why?
September is the 10th, why? Second
Um,
Tuesday?
September the 10th.
Don't we have a report due to Lake in September? And we move the
I
meeting
think
to
that's
the end.
because that's when we're closing the books. And we have to have the final unaudited actuals
By a certain date.
by
the
before
15th.
September 15th. So that's why we have the September date there, 10th.
That's next month.
Anybody else?
So do I need to keep this then?
We should keep that.
Well, if it-
Item brings around.
this is an opportunity also for the board to start putting these dates aside, absent any changes, and then come next month, the board will take action on them.
Okay, anybody else? No, we're good? We're good to move on? Okay. Moving on to consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered by the board to be items that will be enacted by the board in one motion. There will be no discussion of these items prior to the time the board votes on the motion unless members of the board, staff, or public request specific items to be discussed and/or removed from the calendar. Opposed to the board, would anybody like to have anything removed from the consent calendar for discussion?
Consent calendar?
That's not what I asked. With that said, may I get a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented?
So move.
Motion by Board Member Rivera. I'll second it by Board Member Barajas. Can I get a roll call? Oh, you seconded, I'm so sorry. Stanzioni. Roll call vote?
Aye.
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 Aye. Nice. Okay. Moving along to adjournment. The next regular board meeting is scheduled for December 12th. Yeah. The next regular board meeting is scheduled for December 12th, and as a reminder, we have a special board meeting tomorrow, November 15th. Can I get a motion to adjourn the regular board meeting of November 14th?
So move.
Moved by
They
Board
wanna go
Member
home.
Rivera. Second,
Second. Nobody wants to adjourn?
I second it last
No, seriously, can I get a second?
Bro, like, I'm not saying anything.
My voice, can I change my voice and?
Did someone second? No, seriously, did I get a second?
Yeah, didn't you second?
No,
Please
nobody
second.
second. The motion's on the floor. Which second?
No, I
motion's
seconded the
gonna die.
other one she ignored. I'll second this one.
Oh. Seconded by Board Member
Stay
Stanzioni.
here.
Can I have a roll call vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. I adjourn the regular board